Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and once again, I'm joined by Angel.
Hi, welcome back.
Good morning. So, we are starting the second arc of Port Charles, which is titled Time in a Bottle. And we covered the first week versus the 2 weeks we had done previously for the other arc. So, I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So, we open up with Lucy burning breakfast.
Already off to a great start.
Right. They were pretty much just like comic relief this week. But then she burns the coffee because she forgot to put water in because she panicked about the breakfast burning. It was a mess.
Yes.
Frank fell asleep on the couch but wakes up to a call from Karen. She's been studying all night, and he's worn out from working on Nellie all night. Eve and Ian are sleeping after being drugged with do you remember what the drug was called?
I forgot. But I know it like takes them to their past lives and it's supposed to
Yeah, it's not a real drug.
It essentially could kill them.
Right. Which is that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they were fine. Why did you drug them?
I mean, I get where she's coming from, and not the whole let's drug them to nearly kill them thing. That's kind of low-key villainous. But I think she wanted them to see that they were meant to be with each other, because she even dropped that it was meant to be.
Yeah.
In this week, so.
Yeah, but kind of dangerous. You might die, so good luck.
Good luck.
So Eve and Ian are dreaming of themselves in the past, where Ian is painting Eve, and he's in a bad wig. I put.
Yes.
So this was a little rough to take notes with because there was a constant back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So for the sake of notes on the podcast, I have them referred to as past Ian and Eve and present Ian and Eve to kind of
Because I don't even think their past selves had names.
They didn't have names. They didn't put a year of what time frame we're in.
And there wasn't the song "Past Lives" by Kesha either, so I'm disappointed.
She was still probably a preteen at this point.
I know, right?
Karen thinks that they should turn Nellie into a planter. They talk about how it would have been cool to live in the 1960s. So I took note of that just in case that's a time frame we visit at some point.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, Eve fights with Ian over how long he is taking to paint her. He orders her to turn her head in certain directions, and she says to move it himself, which he does. And she kind of has this attraction that she's feeling something. She demands to see her painting, and he shows her that it's been finished for weeks and that she's been coming there for nothing. She's annoyed that he's made her come back week after week, and she comes upon a painting of her in a provocative pose. A servant comes to retrieve Eve, and she tells them to wait downstairs, and she unbuttons her corset.
Ooh, sexy.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, given the time that this was filmed, it was probably inspired by Titanic.
Yeah. Because I think Titanic was 97, 98?
Yeah, so it was still very much in the forefront of everyone's mind.
Yeah.
A neighbor returned Sigmund because it bit his dog.
I could only imagine how that happened. That beat, bang.
I was happy to see him. I didn't think we were ever gonna see him again.
Yeah, I love Sigmund.
And
they should bring him back to GH if he's still alive.
Was he on GH?
I think he was. I think he was on GH.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch. I'm still learning 90s
Yeah.
GH. um, and Kevin gets into a fight with the dog owner.
I like how it just lunges at him like, ah!
Lucy had a line like Sigmund's like she put Sigmund away so he could think about what he did. I put Frank and Karen have PG phone sex.
Look, you can't have the Cinemax stuff. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. Nobody wants to hear that stuff.
She's like,
Eastern time. Anybody else who listens to watch Port Charles and other time zones, you get what I mean.
she's like, I'm in my nightgown that has 3 buttons. I'm like, ooh.
Ooh.
She wasn't even in a nightgown.
No, it looked like her. Like it looked like a regular blouse. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm shirtless because it's so hot. Meanwhile, he was fully clothed.
Yeah.
And then my last note is Nellie powers on by itself because I don't know what pronouns to give it, a he, a she, so I said itself.
Yeah.
Livy asks Allison if she mailed a letter of hers, and Jack walks in and questions if it was a love letter to him. I like the dynamic between Livy and Jack this week.
Mm-hmm.
It was very combative and kind of like we're fighting. Well, she's fighting her feelings for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the Livy I remember. She's got more spunk to her than she did previously. She seems more mature. Maybe it's the haircut.
Yeah.
In the past,
story too, because like a lot of the story she was given before, she was like this, and I hate to say whiny, but she was a whiny like teenager.
Yeah.
Even though she was 18, but technically she's an adult, but she is a teenager too. Yeah. And now with the stuff that she's been getting, it's a little bit more meaty and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think Kelly Monaco's killing it with this.
It's the acting style I'm used to from Kelly Monaco, so I'm like, this feels familiar.
Wish they used her more on a General Hospital.
In the past, Eve poses for Ian in her undergarments. He comes close to her and kisses her, and they make love. He continues to have her come every week to pose for her as his muse. Now, just to go slightly off topic, when he was shirtless painting her and he had like paint all over him, I had like a Bold flashback to when the actor as Ridge on Bold was with Caroline, like younger Caroline.
Yeah, the
Lindsay Godfrey.
Caroline Jr.
And they were like rolling around in the paint making love. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh my god.
When he did poetry and and I forgot, was it his hand? Something happened with his hand, or was it something happened with Caroline and he couldn't draw? And then he had to redraw. It was like that's what made a lot of people fall in love with that couple. Like the whole that
was around the time I first started watching Bold, because I remember Rick shooting a gun into the office, but he didn't actually shoot it at them. He just shot it just to be dramatic.
Yeah,
because he caught them kissing or something. I don't know. That was around the time that I started watching, and then Maya came out as trans, and I was like, "This show is great. Why haven't I watched
good? Such a good show." And then Caroline, the actress, got into an accident. Like she was walking, and then 2 cars hit her, and basically she was off the show for a while. And then they kind of wrote in what happened with her, what happened, and she had to relearn how to walk and everything like that. And that's
because I remember her having crutches. Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Anyway, back to Port Charles. That's
we'll save it for the Bold and Beautiful podcast.
Right. Livy's grandmother's aide took the letter that's missing and shows it to Chris.
I think her name is Kim. I want to say, but okay.
No, I was gonna say they gave her a name. I didn't really
I
hear
saw
it.
something in the credit. Like I'm looking in the credits. I know because Port Charles just has the habit of like, if you're like a character that's not that important, you might not get a name. But if you look at the credits hard enough, you may find a name. So I think her name was Kim, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check again.
Okay. Do you believe that I forgot Ariana's name? I literally was like Ian's wife. Like I'm like that's how much I don't like her. I forgot her name.
Look, I called her Adriana on Twitter. So
Like I literally was taking notes because nobody was because you know how sometimes soap operas will just like repeat character names just for new viewers that are tuning in. I'm like, come on, somebody say her name. I forgot it. So I like literally my first note was like Ian's wife because I forgot it. So Livy's grandmother, the aide, gave Chris the letter, and he reads it and tells her to seal it and make sure Livy finds it. We don't know why yet. Livy tells Jack that the letter is none of his business. And they kind of like have a little showdown about how she's always running from her past and she's afraid she's going to end up like her mother. I must have retroactively switched Ian's wife to Ariana once I heard her name. Because it says Ariana is visited by INS. And she defends her marriage to Ian and says that he's out of the country helping patients. In the past, Eve's husband walks in on she and Ian kissing. He orders her to get dressed and to go back to the house. Ian tells her that he's in love with her, and her husband says that he owns her. She tells Ian she will always love him, and her husband shoots a gun at Ian, and Eve jumps in front of him.
Okay, because I missed that part. I was like, why would he shoot her? But it turns out that, I definitely missed that part where she jumps in front.
Allison and Jamal hang the bike shop sign, like the official, we're open.
Yes. Jamal's bike shop.
Allison has big dreams of this being such a success that it becomes a franchise. And Jamal is just like in awe of like the confidence she has in him.
Oh.
Livy and Jack continue to fight about Chris. She tells him that he doesn't know what he's talking about as far as her always running from her past. And he says that he pretty much doubles down that like he knows her better than anybody. In the past, Eve's husband leaves her with Ian to die from the gunshot wound, because then he says he'll be a proper widower.
God.
As Eve dies in Ian's arms, she wakes up in present day. Livy tells Jack if he doesn't stop laughing at her, she's going to slap the grin off his face. He says, "What are you waiting for?" And she slaps him and then kisses him. That was fun. I like that.
I love that.
I mean, I love a good slap. Eve feels Ian's pulse and it's very weak, and he also feels cold. She talks to him and says she needs him here with her. And in the past, as he's holding Eve as she's dying, or her dead body, I don't remember if she had died at this point. She must have died.
She died. Yeah, she died.
He hears present day Eve saying, "Come back to me, come back to me." Jack doesn't buy that Livy didn't feel anything when they kissed. She tells him to get over himself and leaves, and she smiles outside.
That's the Livy I like to see.
Past Ian won't let dead Eve go and continues to hear present Eve saying, "Come back to me." Ariana comes to see Frank about painting the apartment and making it more homey. He says he's not completely on board with this fake marriage. Jack follows Livy to argue that he doesn't believe she didn't feel anything or doesn't care. And Livy blurts out that the letter was an application for pre-med school.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt weird because the Livy I know never, like, she doesn't feel like a doctor.
Yeah.
So to hear that this was always her dream, I'm like, this doesn't feel right for your character.
I feel like it's something, I hope they go into this later, but I feel like this is something that, like, because she lost her mom, that's the only reason why she wants to do it.
Okay.
And by lost her mom, I mean mom's in a coma.
Mom's not dead, right? She's like locked
Mom's
away.
not dead, she's in a coma.
Okay. Do they ever like bring her up? Like, does she ever like wake up, but she's still institutionalized and Livy like visits her? Like, does any of that ever happen?
She visits her in a coma, but I don't think they ever wake her up. I think at that point, Kimberlyn would have been like on bold at that point with the whole sugar, and then Rich dropping into the vat of acid.
Oh my god. Chris calls Livy and she agrees to meet him at the recovery room, the bar, not the hospital.
Yes.
I always feel like I have to reiterate that.
Don't worry. Once we get deep into the arcs, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Eve begs Ian not to leave her, and he wakes up and they kiss. So, dodge that bullet. He survives.
Yeah.
Frank offers for Ariana and Ian to move into his old place that he had with Courtney. So, have we seen this set before? Like pre-arcs?
Did we? I don't remember.
Because I remember this set, and I'm like, oh, yay, this set is here. Because I remember that being Ian's place.
I don't remember it pre-arcs. But I also don't remember him and Courtney living together. So I remember Frank and Courtney being a thing, but I don't remember them being that much of a thing that they had to move in together.
I remember, I think, Ian and Eve living in this set. And I could be remembering wrong, but maybe Livy and Caleb or Livy and whoever Michael Easton was playing at the time. The rock star, I don't remember, Mosley.
So Caleb Morley was the vampire. No. Yeah, Caleb Morley was a vampire. Then there was like
didn't he have a twin that was a priest?
There was a priest, yep. The priest actually comes later on in this arc. So
oh, that's right, because he is already on the show when Tainted Love starts.
Yep. And then what's the rock star's name? What was his name? That turned out to be Caleb, but then he had like a stage name, but I forgot what the stage name was. Somebody correct me in the comments.
I forgot. I can't even.
Yeah, it was very Naked Eyes.
Oh my god, I forgot there was a Naked Eyes arc. I forgot the title.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. I can't even venture to guess.
Yeah.
We're miles away from that.
We
are. Jack crashes Livy and Chris's meeting and brings up the kiss at the bike shop. Livy denies it and makes it sound like he's just like trying to stir up trouble. And Jack leaves. Chris pretends he submitted Livy for the Port Charles pre-med program on a whim. And Livy, because he thinks that she's so nurturing and that she made comments about how she wanted to help people. I really don't like him.
No, I don't like him either. Like I said before, I think it's the fact that I like the actor more than I like the character, and it kind of clouded my judgment. But no, I don't like Chris.
You know what?
I'm actually done more with him in the arcs, but I don't like him either.
I'm actually at a point where I don't like him, but I don't want him to not be on the show. Like, I enjoy the trouble he causes.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a win.
Yeah.
Livy is so happy and thanks him for knowing her and making her dreams come true, and she hugs him as Jack watches from the window. Frank has bought a modern, sleek monitor for Nellie, and is frustrated. He finally got it to boot up, but it's frozen. He realizes that he's late for work and leaves while the computer's still on. And the screen says, "I feel so alone."
Mm.
Eve and Ian are prepared to fly home, but they're told that they will never be together in this lifetime.
It's the
they do?
drama of,
Do you
the,
think
of
they
what
do?
happens later on.
Do you think she gave like 1 year's notice? Like, hey, at the end of this contract cycle, probably gonna leave.
Yes. Yeah, because I heard if you now I'm not a huge fan of the Soap Opera Digest podcast, but whenever an actor comes on that I want to listen to, I listen to it, of course. So that being said, Julie Pinson guest starred on one, and and the way she said it was, I didn't leave poor Charles left me.
Oh.
So
I wonder if this was like a long-term plan then.
yeah.
This was like a nugget. It's interesting. It's actually fun to think that soap operas actually had foreshadowing, because I feel like they don't have that anymore. They're just like writing week to week, month to month.
Yeah, because like even with the whole like, so remember, every single past life they had so far, somebody dies. First it was Ian, then it was Eve. If they have another past life, it's probably going to be Ian.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. So they're a fated couple, but they're not.
They're like a tragic couple.
Together.
They're like, yeah, it's almost like they're fated to be in each other's orbit. But interesting. I like it. Gabby comes to see.
Be making this entire thing up, and that wasn't their plan. So,
I mean, they should just take the credit and run with it, because it sounds like the math is mathing.
Hear that, Julie? This is yours. You too, James Harmon Brown, because Barbara Isaacson unfortunately died. So, and Barbara Bloom, you too. Even though I don't care about what you do at CBS, but you get that too, Barbara Bloom.
Gabby comes to see Ariana at the new apartment, which she has already fully decorated.
Oh, this girl.
Okay, I really enjoyed these scenes. Allison's Nat. I couldn't remember her name. Allison's Nana. I know she's Barrington, but I couldn't remember the first name.
Amanda?
Oh, Amanda?
I think it's Amanda.
Okay, so Allison's Nana.
Her mom comes later on. Her name's Elizabeth.
Is she played by anybody like notable?
So have you heard of Guiding Light in like the 80s? She was on there so the actress who played her name is Rebecca Stab. She was on there as Jessie Matthews, I think her name was.
I know that actress. Okay.
Yeah. So she was played by Rebecca Stab.
Okay. Allison's Nana comes to say that she now accepts her and Jamal's relationship.
Yeah, fat chance.
And has decided to be more modern. She's like, I decided to be in the 21st century, and Allison's like, I settled for the 20th. She says she will redo the east end of the mansion for them to live in. Allison will go to college, and she will find a suitable job for Jamal. And Jamal jokes, yeah, could you imagine me being at the country club? Allison is enraged that she is trying to map out her and Jamal's lives. And Jamal asks to speak with her in private. Gabby says she's been trying to hang 2 hooks to her closet door for months, and Ariana decorated in a day.
I love Gabriella.
I do too. I need more. I don't like her just being a talk to. She tries to remind Ariana that this is a match made in paper, not in heaven. Ariana accidentally informs Gabby that Eve is the woman Ian was pining for. She her mind was blown. She was like, Eve? Eve? Which pissed Ariana off, and she had like a meltdown and was like basically like, get out. Ian and Eve are home and are kissing when there is a knock at the door from INS. Jamal and Allison's Nana, Amanda, argue about what Allison needs and is accustomed to. And I kind of like rolled my eyes because he had a line that was like, love don't cost a thing. And I'm like, ugh. I know that was a song. I know it's a sign of the times, but do you think the actor was like, really? I have to say this? The INS agent brings up there were rumors Ian and Eve were more than colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Ian comes to the defense of his marriage and Ariana. Meanwhile, Gabby thinks Ariana is trying to be Eve. And
I agree with that.
Yeah, because she has too many questions about Eve. Like,
she has too many questions about Eve, first of all, and then she's like trying to be somebody that she's not.
Yeah.
She kind of comes off as like just like being like, okay, this man. I think it all started when he kissed her. When Ian kissed her, was it Valentine's Day? I want to say.
Yeah, he was drunk.
Yeah, he was drunk. Yeah, I think that all stemmed from that. And now but she was asking questions about Eve before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was more of like, oh yeah, like I know you love this girl. Yeah, I want you two to be together. But now it's become like, okay, I must be her. So
yeah. I wonder if that will escalate into something. Ariana gets emotional and insists she is doing everything to save this marriage and her life, and opens the door for Gabby to leave. Jamal invites Allison's Nana to the shop opening, like the official grand opening. And she says she will see if she can clear her schedule. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. I'm like liking this. I'm like, she seems like she's like trying to be supportive and like baby steps. But then she's outside and she crumples up the flyer, and I'm like, well, there goes that.
Yep.
Which actually is shown after Allison says she doesn't buy her Nana's change in attitude. So Allison knows what's up.
Yeah.
Ian comes to the new home and finds Ariana has lit candles, and she comes out in, I guess it's supposed to be sexy lingerie or sexy nightgown.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Frank is in front of Nellie looking at a picture of Karen, and he boots it up and he sees I Feel So Alone like on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Neil walks in and Frank thinks that he messed with Nellie. Ariana explains why she decided to move them to a new place and hopes Ian will be on board with the plan to trick INS by making it look like they have a happy home.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that
they no longer live in the basement where the entrance is through the kitchen.
Yeah, at least they have at least Frank's house will have privacy now.
Right?
Not all these strangers coming off the street.
Yep.
Eve thinks that the place is just fine and it'll work. Kevin finds Eve and wonders if her new plans include Ian. She says she knows what she's doing, and he says she always ends up getting hurt when it comes to Ian.
Mm.
The date on Nellie's message is from 1973.
But they just said it was from the 60s.
No, the date. So they were talking about Nellie, and I guess that the computer is from the 70s. Okay. And at the bottom of the screen, it had a date. I only took the year. I didn't take the actual date. But then, because Frank apparently was alive during the 70s, like he grew up, so he remembers things. Yeah. Karen's a little bit younger. And then they started talking about the 60s. So that's why, and like how great it would have been to grow up in that era. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep tabs on these to see if they end up doing this.
Put them in a Word doc or something.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that later.
Yeah. Frank tries to write Karen an email through Nellie, and I'm like, Nellie has email access?
See, I remember bits and pieces of this arc, and that's the part that always confused me, because I was like, why is there AIM, and why is there email, and how is this a thing? But I'm like, let me just suspend my disbelief this time. And
I mean, I guess if you update something properly, you could use it, but I don't know. 2001, it was probably still dial-up. Maybe.
It was just the beginnings of broadband.
Yeah.
And also, I may have spoiled a little bit of the story, so I'm not going to say anymore, but like... just so you know, I wasn't talking about 2001. I was talking about another time. So
okay. E fills Kevin in on the real circumstances of Ian's marriage to Ariana. Ian thinks the new home is perfect for tricking the INS, and he takes Polaroid pictures with Ariana to make a scrapbook, and he calls them snappies instead of selfies because the selfie wasn't a word yet.
Yeah.
Gabby and Joe have like this weird, I feel like almost contrived argument just to have them on screen having drama about him knowing about Ian and Eve. And she wishes that he would have told her, because then she wouldn't have pushed Ariana to be with Ian.
Which I get because like Ariana was like the main, like was like one of the main reasons. Sorry, not Ariana. Gabriella was one of the main reasons why why Ariana wanted to be with Ian. You know, the whole fashion show with like the stock music and everything like that. So
yeah. Kevin tells Eve that he and Lucy are back together, and she like fake supports. So she's like, "Oh, that's great if you're happy." And they kind of come to agreement, like if he backs her and Ian, she'll back him and Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
I like their what's the word I'm looking for?
Friendship?
Civil ex relationship.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to see. Eve overhears Joe and Gabby talking about Ariana and Ian and wonders what is going on. She sees a package that's, I guess, addressed to the new address.
Mm-hmm.
Frank gets an immediate response from his email to Karen that says, "I am so in love." He calls Karen to talk about his email, and she said she didn't receive one or write back.
Mm-hmm.
So he says he'll send another email. Frank gets a message that says, "I've never felt like this before." And he replies asking, "Who is this?" And I don't know if this was just like a patient of the week, because I know like we have these random like day players, but an angry patient's wife takes out her frustration on Kevin and grabs a scalpel and cuts him.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a lot of blood.
I felt like this was so random. I'm like, is this gonna be something?
Well, remember they brought it up like literally seconds before that, like, oh well, her was it her husband? I think was he had to go to the psych ward.
I almost felt like is she the wife of the guy that had the grenade?
I don't think that they're the same person.
No, that was the only connection I could make in my head. Okay.
I think this was just another patient, because like they mentioned it like literally like seconds before, and then she comes up, she's like, first of all, I'm thinking the woman got her sad card during this because I wasn't convincing to me.
Yeah, I didn't know if this meant something, if his cut was going to be something, because they focused on the blood for a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, I feel like everything.
I think it just might be a thing where Lucy, and I'm not saying that this happens because I don't remember this part, but I think this might be a thing where, like, it kind of like shows Lucy's maturity about the relationship, or it shows like or it shows like Lucy is like Kevin's in the ER and Lucy doesn't know, and then it's all this whole hijinks and stuff like that. That's what I'm predicting might happen because of this, but
okay.
I was also think more than that.
Going off of this week and like how sidelined I felt like Kevin and Lucy were, it could have just been this week. I wondered how big a role they're actually going to play in this arc, or if they're just going to be happy for this arc.
That's the thing. I'm trying to remember if they had a big role in this arc, and I don't think they did.
Okay. Yeah, this feels very, just from the promos and the story so far, it feels like it's going to be very Ian and Eve heavy.
And then later on, Karen and Frank,
yeah. They seem to be like the two main couples.
And then trickling in the teen set, so and Chris. It's the teen set and Chris. Who is like what, 35 at this point?
Right. And we know Livy's 18 because
Livy and Allison are 18.
Yeah. And the week ended with Eve going to the new apartment and Ariana answering the door and Eve coming out shirtless. So Eve's like, question mark, what's going on?
What's going on? And then, of course, Ariana yells at Eve during the previews.
Right.
Which I'm not ready for that.
I'm like, girl, you're on your way out here. Thank you for introducing the new set. You can leave now. Still don't like you.
Don't like you either.
Although I still do tolerate her more when she's in scenes with Gabby, but that's just Gabby. I like Gabby, so. But yeah, that was the first week of Time in a Bottle. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like it was a little slow. Nothing like too crazy happened because it was mostly just like flashbacks to the past. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's like they picked up the momentum from Fate, which was from the end of Fate, which was like kind of slowing down, and then like instead of it being like gearing up for like some action, like I know that like I remember on SoapNet when they had Soap Center, they were like, poor Charles gets a cliffhanger every week, every day, every this and that and this and that. There wasn't that momentum. Like that cliffhanger every day, cliffhanger every week, cliffhanger every 3 months, like cliffhangers all the time. Like there wasn't that. It was just more like just slow and steady, introducing the plot to the arc, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I hope next week is a little better.
I feel like it was more like we're introducing this mystery with Nellie.
Yeah.
Now that Ian and Eve are back home, I don't know how we're gonna do the past lives thing with the drug, unless the drug is still in their system. Or if Nellie's gonna play a part in their story also. I'm
thinking this is all just to get Ariana out of the picture and then
good. I hope she does.
Eve and Ian together. That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking because Ian and Eve come back, bam, Ariana's there. So
yeah, I hope she dies.
Or goes to witness protection and never heard from again.
Or that, I guess.
Yeah.
She should go to jail. She hit Eve with a car and almost killed her, but whatever.
Yeah, why has Eve pressed charges?
Right. Eve's like double down on also trying to protect her. Okay.
Mhm.
But do you have anything else to add about this week?
Just that Chris sucks. I want Oriana to leave, and Lucy and Kevin deserve more time. But I understand because they are happy. So you can't be happy for long on Soaps, but you gotta give them their moment.
Yeah.
And they were funny this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Lucy's always funny.
Yeah.
And we got to see Sigmund. I'm happy to see him. All right. Well, that was the first week of Port Charles Time in a Bottle. We will be back soon with another week. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night, day, whenever you're watching it.
Bye.